Hello Marvel fans! Today I'm going to show you how to recreate a magic effect from the Doctor Strange movie that is scaled down to work on the 6-inch Marvel Legends Doctor Strange action figure. Now I know everyone has not seen the movie yet, so I'm going to be using some very generic terms in this video to try to avoid any movie spoilers. But first, a disclaimer. I came down with something on Friday night, probably the flu. And I'm on some medicine now to stop my nose from running constantly, and it's left me a little out of it. More than a little, actually. Like, last night, I tried making tacos, and I was supposed to warm up the shells for 10 seconds in the microwave. I put those things in there for 10 minutes, and I didn't notice until I was like, what's that horrible smell? Oh, yeah. So this video was mostly done except for the voiceover, but if I say anything crazy in here, and you're thinking, but Zubby, if I do that, I'll burn my house down. Don't do it. Just don't. And now that you've been warned, the supplies that you'll need for this project are a sheet of paper, plastic. I used the firm plastic packaging from a Marvel Legends box, and I also pulled off the floppy clear window from my box of pasta. Ruler, fine-tipped paintbrush, paint palette, acrylic craft paint. I'm using Apple Barrel's shade of green called Parakeet, matte sealant or varnish, super glue, a tiny bit of wax paper, tape, compass, scissors, low temperature glue gun, glue stick, pencil. That seems like a lot of stuff, but hopefully you'll have most of it at home already. Now we can see that this green magic from the movie, which I'm not going to say what it does, is broken up into 4 parts. First, we have the hand disc, and then, the bracelet, then the arm disc, and finally the green light on the necklace. We're going to start off by making the first part, the hand disc. You'll need a ruler to help you set the pencil tip and the pointy tip of your compass so that they are 7 millimeters apart. Make a dot on your paper and set the compass point on it and draw a circle. Now we need to make a smaller circle, so set your compass so that the pencil and the pointy tip are 4 millimeters apart. Draw a second circle inside the first one. So here's what we've drawn so far for the hand disc. Now you can see inside the smaller circle there are 2 square patterns. We're going to make those next. Now pretend the smaller innermost circle is the face of a clock, and I'm going to make a mark at 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9. And then just draw a line connecting each point to make the first square. Next, make a mark halfway in between each of your previous points and connect them to make a second square. And here's what my pattern looks like. Tape the pattern to some firm plastic packaging and cut it out along the outer circle. Leave the pattern taped to the plastic for now and set it aside. Now we're going to work on the second part of the effect, the bracelet looking part. To make the pattern, just measure and draw a rectangle on your paper that is 3 millimeters wide and 3.6 centimeters long. Cut it out and make sure it will fit around your figure's wrist, but allow some overlap so that you'll have enough room for gluing it to itself. Next, I place my pattern to my floppy plastic from the pasta box and cut out the rectangle. For the third part of the effect, the arm disc, we're going to need our compass again. Set the pencil and the pointy tip of the compass 5 millimeters apart and draw a circle on your paper. Set the compass's pencil and tip 9 millimeters apart this time and draw a second circle that surrounds your first one. Remember how we drew those 2 squares inside the inner circle of the hand disc? We're going to repeat that step by making 2 squares in between the 2 circles on this part of the effect as well. And this is what my pattern looks like. Cut out the pattern by following the curve of the outermost circle. Tape it to some firm plastic and cut it out. We'll need to cut out that inner circle too, but the plastic is just too hard for me to punch through. So I went ahead and cut through the bottom of my circle to get to the interior and cut out the interior so I'll have a shape like, well, like a donut. Donut. That's what I'm going to call this part of the effect from now on. And I just noticed what a terrible job I did recording myself using the scissors here. Whoops. Well, use your imagination. Leave the paper pattern attached to the donut. Now we need to make sure the donut fits on Dr. Strange's arm. Mine was a little tighter than I liked, so I had to trim a little bit more away from the interior so it would fit up higher on his arm. Now we're to the fun part, painting. I recommend applying some tape to the back of your effects to attach them to a sheet of paper to prevent them from sliding all over. And use the smallest paintbrush you have. I'm using a spotter size 10/0. For the bracelet, I'm just going to paint a row of little circles along the plastic. Then I'm going to go back and place 3 dots inside each circle. For the donut, I apply a thin line of paint to trace the lines I made earlier with the pencil on the paper pattern. I paint the 2 circles on the interior edges of the donut and then paint the 2 squares in between them. For the hand disc, I paint the outer circle first, before tracing my lines for the interior circle and the 2 squares. Then I just apply a few paint dots in between the 2 circles. For the final part of the effect on the necklace, just apply a drop of paint the size of a head of a pin to some firm plastic, let it dry and cut it out. If you're like me, you're going to drop that tiny piece on the floor, lose it, and then have to make it over again. After your paint is dry, apply a layer of sealant or matte varnish to protect your paint from chipping. I'm taping a small piece of wax paper to my figure's arm because I'm ready to glue the bracelet part of the effect to itself, but I don't want to glue it to my figure accidentally. Use the super glue and overlap the edges of the bracelet and glue the 2 ends together. For this next step, you must use a low temperature glue gun, because if you use a regular glue gun, you may melt your figure. I haven't tested that, but it's probably not going to end well. I also highly recommend that you practice this step with a scrap piece of plastic before you use your painted part. I certainly had to try this a few times. Basically, what we're going to do is put a drop of hot glue on one edge of the unpainted side of the disc. While that glue is still warm, stick it directly on at least 2 of Dr. Strange's fingers and let it cool to set. After it is cool, the glue will pop right off his fingers without any damage to his hand. But now we have an imprint on the glue that lines up to his fingers. You can match up the dried glue to those fingers to attach the effect on it from now on. And if you did it right, it will stay on there pretty well. If you mess up though, just peel off your glue and try again. For the final part, the little pin-headed sized spot of paint, I just attached it to Dr. Strange's necklace with a bit of poster mounting putty, which I think I forgot to mention in the list of supplies. Whoops. And then, when you place all the parts on your figure, Dr. Strange is ready to cast some magic. And before we go, I have some photos to share from viewers creating my Ghostwriter chain project. Yay! I actually remembered to include this segment this time. The first photo is from Abhishek Rod Photography on Facebook. Then Cody sent me this one on Instagram. Next, Gargling Glass sent me these 2 photos on Facebook. And finally, Alex von Frankenstein shared this photo with me on Instagram. Wow, I have to say, you all did great work. Doesn't Ghostwriter look more intimidating and, well, interesting with a chain weapon in his hands? If you've tried any of my projects, I'd love to see your photos too. You can either upload your photos to a photo sharing site and give me the link in the comments below, or send them to me on a social networking site. Just make sure to say that I have your permission to share your photos. And that's all, folks. But if you've made it this far, feel free to check out the other content on my channel for more reviews, toy crafts, and other stuff. And if you like what you see, it'd be awesome if you subscribe. Thanks for watching.